Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. Would you like a consultation for an LDN prescription without leaving your home? Good news, LDDirectcom can do just that. Consultations are available in all 50 states and parts of Canada. They are waiting to help you improve your health. I'd like to welcome back my guest today, Pharmacist Carol Petersen from Women's International Pharmacy. Thank you for joining us, Carol.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Linda. Thanks for having me.
So, I've met you several times and you're very enthusiastic about LDN. It's amazing. What would you say LDN has done to your pharmacy? How many years have you been compounding LDN?
We actually have been compounding it quite a long time. We originally were compounding it for an in-office study on the use of LDN in autism. We were making aqueous solutions of LDN. And this got off the ground because one of our pharmacists had a son with autism, and working with this particular practitioner, he negotiated that we get involved. And the long of short of this, and it was never published anywhere, was for some children it did a great deal of good and others didn't seem to have any effect. I don't know what the variables were, so I can't really respond to it. It was our earliest experience with LDN. And then other information started coming out, the books started coming out about LDN, and so we decided we might as well just keep going. We have the stuff, we have the capability, we will just provide LDN.
Mm-hmm. So in that time, have you kept to the same forms in which you compound it in?
No. That aqueous form, according to the new USP requirements that have come in between time, can no longer be compounded. We would have to put an expiration date on it of 48 hours, so simply impractical. But we do provide several things, and I think they're unique to our pharmacy. We provide LDN in a drop. It's an oil-based drop, and you can specify how many milligrams you want delivered per drop. We have, we can put it in a cream, and we also have capsules that are oil-filled with LDN, which is probably what most people go for. The drops could be used either sublingually or swallowed or rubbed on your skin. And do you remember Dr. Jackie McCutcheon?
McCandless, yes.
McCandless, yes, thank you. So we knew her from using hormones, and when her granddaughter got diagnosed with autism, she became quite the advocate, and she was a very early user of LDN and emu oil. Mm-hmm. So I bring that up because I want to say that it's quite compatible with oils as we do our compounding.
Wow. So if you make your, I'm just thinking out aloud here, if you're making your capsules with oil, they must be completely sealed. They can't be in two halves like a normal capsule with, say, an APhA filler.
Right. Well, they are sealed, and they are openable.
Really?
And you could conceivably, if you're having the oral capsules that were oil filled, and were having some problems with the oral administration, you could open this up and squeeze it out and then treat it just like the drops. You could put it under your tongue, you could put it on your skin.
Wow. Because the oil capsules that I have that are a fish oil
Mm-hmm.
and APhA, I mean, they're completely sealed. There is no way you can open them or anything. That, as I
Right.
say,
We use the regular capsules, and we have been. They're hard shell capsules, and we have been using those for years. So we've also put our hormone preparations in that. So that's why we're very keen on the oil-filled capsules, because we have the equipment and the expertise in that area to do it. But they are openable.
Okay.
And
So
they're not a sealed capsule.
They're a thicker gel than a normal capsule is made out of. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So you learn something new every day.
I hadn't thought of that.
I was just trying to work it out. You know, you can't have leakages or anything. It must be a different.
It could leak under circumstances, and I think the times we experience some problems with those capsules leaking are people going on flights when they go up and down high altitude and stuff. It may be a problem, but not universally, so that we were forced to quit doing that. So it's just occasionally.
So what about oil-based rather than a normal filler for gastrointestinal problems? Is it kinder to the gut, or doesn't it make a lot of difference?
That's a good question. It could definitely change. Well, I guess we would call it pharmacokinetics or something. It will definitely change the absorption pattern. Oils in your gut I absorb into chylomicrons, which carry it into the lymph. So there can be some of that absorption rather than just going to the gut and breakdown. I recently spoke to a practitioner who uses our capsules, and she told me that she switched from another. Now, I can't tell you what the other was, but she was able to go down in her dosage a little bit when she changed. So she felt she was getting better absorption. But so this is anecdotal, one story. So unless I collect a lot of stories, I can't really rely on that.
I understand. And what about LDN for pets?
We have another pharmacy called Pet Health Pharmacy, and we are able to compound for pets as well. You and I were just discussing this. I had found an article, and I was writing about it. Let me just see, the dosage was 0.03 milligrams per gram of milligrams per pound, of body weight for the pet. It was 0.03 milligrams per pound of weight. And that came from an article by Vijay Sharma. So it's simply an extrapolation of the kind of doses that have been used in human to pets. I think that would give you a starting point, and just like in humans, you would need to adjust one way or the other. And I've been following some groups on the internet with using LDN treatments for pets, and people do get some very exciting results with LDN for their pets, the chronic inflammatory arthritic issues, even some help with cancer. I can't say resolution with cancer, but certainly a vitality is returned to the pet that wasn't there before, and the owners are quite pleased that the quality of life has improved immensely.
And do you ever keep track of your patients who are using LDN? Not talking pets here, I'm talking people.
Well, it's a project that we would be capable of doing, and it's very unsatisfying. I've asked the other staff for feedback on questions or any kind of feedback from patients, and I was very discouraged because they had so little. But people keep refilling their prescriptions, so you think things are going pretty well, and we could make that a project and maybe reach out to those patients and see how they're doing. Last year when we talked, I did reach out to some practitioners to see how their patients were doing, and had a few nice chats with them. That was another way. But I joined chat groups, everything I could find, every place on the internet where people were talking about LDN. And I have to say there was an amount of moaning and whining, and particularly I would say the disturbed dreams came up a lot. I was really amused because one time someone wrote, "There's nothing but trouble ever posted here. Is anybody having any good?" And then there was a whole flurry of messages that people's lives were changed in one way or another. So it was gratifying to see that. But it's not surprising those who do have some problems, or they don't have the results they expected, that they would be reaching out and trying to find guidance.
Okay. Right. So what would you say the main population are of patients using LDN? Would you know that?
I don't think I would know that entirely, except for following some of the groups out there, and a lot of autoimmune disease. I've heard LDN mentioned for a practical thing to use for aging. Aging can be characterized as an inflammatory disease.
Mm-hmm.
And is. And so there's some interest in the community with using this on a regular basis to successfully age. I haven't seen actually any study with that, and certainly that would be a very long-term experiment. So I don't know. And of course, MS is very, very much one of those autoimmune diseases that comes up because of what's been written in the past and your own experience. And then all the gut issues. The gut issues tend to be resolved the easiest and the fastest, I believe. And so you do see some very, very happy people using LDN for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if any of the patients are using it for mental health issues that you dispense for?
I couldn't say. I did attend your last meeting in Portland, and that was on the lectures, and I was fascinated by that because I hadn't thought of that either, and I think it certainly should be looked into, and I would think maybe that is one of the pieces with autism. And then there's other things like traumatic brain injuries and PTSD, where there's a lot of inflammation going on. And Dr. Esra Onat, you may know who she is from Morristown. I gave her a chat yesterday, and we were talking. Last time I said she had one of Dr. Bahari's original MS patients who's been steadily taking LDN and only LDN for over 20 years. And she said it was very strange because she attended a conference. She actually heard Dr. Bahari speak. And the next day into her practice came this patient of his. And she said this patient is no longer coming to see her. She's switched to concierge practice apparently, but she sees her in the community, and she's continuing to look good, feel good, and very pleased. She also told me about one of her patients who did very well. She said it's a JAX2 mutation. Have you heard of that, Linda?
No, I haven't. What is it?
JAX2 mutation. The consequence of that is high platelets and high white blood cells, and that patient's been doing well. She had another patient recently with fibromyalgia, massage therapist. She's taking 4 milligrams LDN, doing very well. Then she told me about this family who is just full of problems, but only the child with Crohn's disease was using LDN at 3.5 milligrams and doing extremely well. But there's Lyme disease there, and husband's got ALS, so I don't know if she'll be extending that to the other members, but we'll see.
Okay. What else can you tell me about LDN and Women's International?
Well, I would like to say I thought about this carefully, and I thought, what's the natural molecule that we would experience that LDN helps us provide? And I came to the conclusion, I don't know if you want to guess, but it would be opium. And
Wow.
tincture of opium was a very often used thing when I was first in pharmacy. We dispensed it actually a lot.
Really?
Yeah, so that's interesting. It would be fitting in those same receptors like LDN. It probably have a very short activity. And having said that, I bet in the plant world there's many more plants that would have a similar activity. So I think we're very close to nature here. Not quite, because molecules altered from opium, of course, but certainly related. So that's very interesting to me. I always wonder where things could be done with a natural source rather than a pharmaceutical agent. Given the current climate on how our society thinks about the huge overdose of anything that is derived from opium, I'm sure we're not going to get to experiment with this right now. So just a thought. And then Women's International Pharmacy, we've been compounding for over 33 years. And our primary focus is hormones, and particularly sex and adrenal hormones. And this too is a pillar in helping take care of people who have chronic health issues. We also work with thyroid. What I wanted to say is I think the low dose naltrexone sort of fits into our vision and working with hormones in general because of its effect on the production of endorphins and enkephalins, our own natural hormones. So it's a really nice thing to be working with, and I'm pleased that so many people can get benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we have just about covered everything. If there is nothing more you want to add, Carol?
I would like to say that one more thing about Women's International Pharmacy. We're in the midst of struggling with many political issues around compounding, and this is not something new. We've had this for many decades now, and we're going to have it probably by the time this is aired. And I want to make sure everybody knows Women's International Pharmacy has, from the start, been very politically involved to make personal choices like LDN be available to everybody who wants them.
So thank you for having been my guest today, Carol. It's wonderful having you with us.
Thank you, Linda. As I said, it's my pleasure.
Would you like a consultation for an LDN prescription without leaving your home? Good news, LDDirectcom can do just that. Consultations are available in all 50 states and parts of Canada. They are waiting to help you improve your health. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.